Welcome to the Teamwork Advantage podcast with Greg Gregory. Join us as Greg interviews powerful thought leaders and successful team and leadership experts from across the country on teamwork, leadership, and organizational culture. Now let's check in for this week's episode.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Teamwork Advantage. I'm your host, Greg Gregory, and we are absolutely fortunate today to have with us one of my best friends, my mentor, my guru. I mean, there's not enough words for me to describe how much I care for this gentleman that's our guest today. Let me get through the formal aspects of some of his bio, and we'll jump right into everything where we focus on teamwork, leadership, and culture. But let's just a little bit of a listen here about Dr. Willie Jolley. There are many motivational speakers, and then there is the one, the only, the incomparable Dr. Willie Jolley. Been described simultaneously as a world-class, award-winning speaker, singer, and best-selling author, as well as a media personality. He's achieved remarkable heights in the speaking industry, and having been fired as a singer and replaced by a karaoke machine. So he knows what setbacks are all about. He's gone on to be named one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world by the 175,000 members of Toastmasters International. He's inducted into the Speaker Hall of Fame and achieved the distinction Certified Speaking Professional by the National Speakers Association. Dr. Jolley uses his public platform to pursue a mission of empowering and encouraging people to rise above their circumstances and maximize their God-given potential. Many know him as the speaker that Ford Motors called on when they were on the brink of bankruptcy. His work helped Ford reject a government bailout and go on to $1 billion profits. Dr. Jolley is the author of a number of best-selling books, including It Only Takes a Minute to Change Your Life, A Setback is a Set Up for a Comeback, and Turn Setbacks into Greenbacks, and An Attitude of Excellence, which was endorsed by Dr. Stephen Covey. You also recognize that he's written a popular marriage book with his beautiful wife, Dee Taylor Jolley, called Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. He holds a degree in Doctor of Ministry degree and Faith-Driven Achievement from California Graduate School of Theology and a Master's in Theology from Wesley Theological Seminary and a BA in Psychology and Sociology from the American University. That's the formal stuff. I had the privilege to meet Willie Jolley back in 1994. I saw him open up for another speaker, and I was inspired so much by him. And I owe a lot of what I do today strictly to what Willie has done for me. He's been there every step of the way, and every achievement he's applauded me, and every failure he's lifted me up. And that's the power of what this man can do. Today he's going to talk to us about those setbacks and how to achieve greatness in our lives. One of the things I want to just read to you right now is from his book, and it goes like this. In every life there comes a time, a minute when you must decide to stand up and live your dreams or fall back and live your fears. In that minute of decision, you must grasp the vision, seize the power that lies deep inside of you. Then you will see that dreams really can and do come true, and that all things truly are possible. If you can just believe, it only takes a minute to change your life. It only takes a minute to learn that a setback is nothing but a set up for a comeback. Willie, right now we're going through troubling times in so many different levels in this country. Setback after setback after setback. I think we're ready for a comeback.
Well, Greg, first of all, I want to thank you for having me and for that kind introduction. And also thank you for being my friend all these many years. And we have been good friends. We've dined together, we've laughed together, we've cried together. So I'm grateful for your friendship. To all your listeners, those who might know me from hearing me speak or my radio programs or any other activity, know I always start the same way. I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it, forced upon me. I can't refuse it. I didn't seek it. I didn't choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but our eternities are wrapped up in it. And so we got to make the most of this minute, this moment. And I want to applaud all of your listeners for making this podcast a part of their routine. And I would encourage them to subscribe to your podcast so they can get notifications of when new episodes are available. So, as you said, we are in an incredibly challenging time. We've got a pandemic followed by at the same time, economic downturn, then massive job loss, then racial strife, then social upheaval, and in the midst of a very challenging, divisive presidential election. And so we got a lot going on. Now, any one of those things by itself could be disruptive to our way of life. But we not only have them happening, but all happening at the same time. And so how do you handle that? What do you do in these times of massive disruption, massive setbacks, massive anxiety moments, and massive situations where you don't know what's coming next? Well, what I say is that it's going to take your mindset to help you through this. You got to change your mindset. You got to change your thinking. And you're right. A setback is a setup for a comeback. And this time we got setbacks are nothing but setups for comebacks. So these setbacks are our time and our way of preparing for the comeback. Other thing I like to tell people as we look at this is that if you live long enough, you're going to see more. So in my years of being here as a speaker, even just as a speaker, not even my wholeness or the fullness of my life, and my speaking, I started speaking in 1990, and I've seen in the 1990s there were some economic issues. Then in 2001 there was 9/11, and then in 2008 there was the economic downturn of Great Recession. And now we're in COVID-19. And what I've learned from that is every decade is going to bring a crisis. You must expect that. And so what we must do is learn from this crisis to prepare for the next one. We don't know what it's going to be. We don't know how it's going to come. But we do know that history teaches us that every decade something happens to disrupt our normalcy. So you talked about the fact that, and you're the king of teams. For those who don't know, I'm glad you're listening. You probably know, but you might have just stumbled on this podcast. Greg Gregory is the king of teamwork. Now, this guy is the best teamwork speaker I know, and expert in it. And so I'm always impressed with his ability to go into an organization that is disjointed and running amok and lots of different agenda that everybody has their own, and get them on the same page, how he is able to do that. So I want to just talk.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate those comments.
Well, that's true. Now, let's talk about leadership here. I'm honored that I was the president of the Washington, D.C. chapter of the National Speakers Association. I was the first African-American elected to the National Speakers Association board of directors, and I am now the chair. I just recently became the chair of the National Speakers Association CPAE Hall of Fame Leadership Council, and I'm again the first African American. I'm honored to do that. I am grateful that I am able to be able to share some of the lessons I've learned from that with your audience. So here's what I want to say with all your audience, that leadership, first of all, is an action, not a position. That's first of all. Leadership is an action, not a position. Many people think that a leader is someone who is the president, the vice president, CEO, the chairman of the board. But really, leadership is making a commitment to do the necessary work to get the job done, wherever it is, or you're in an organization, or even wherever you are in your life. So leadership is not a position, it's an action. Second thing about leadership is that leaders are not born. I mean, not born, but are developed. Many people think, well, he's a born leader, she's a born leader. But I say that majority of leaders are not born leaders. They're developed. And they're developed through a process. Look, if you take a piece of coal, ordinary, everyday piece of coal, and separate it from the pack and put it in a very difficult, pressurized place, then it will be transformed over time from that piece of coal, ordinary, to a diamond. I believe the same is true for leaders. I don't believe when a baby's born, the doctor take the baby, slap it on the behind and say, okay, put this one, get it crying, and say, okay, now put this one over in the leadership group. No, he will say this baby has potential and capacity and abilities that it can do great things with its life if it's willing to develop itself. And so I believe that we must make a commitment to develop ourselves. And for me personally, for those who don't know my story, I think it's always important and critical to give you some context why I say this and how I can say this and what my background can help you to understand why this might have some validity for you. I definitely was not a born leader. I was not even a born speaker. I was not a born entrepreneur. I was not a born author. I was a nightclub singer. I was a nightclub singer, singing in dark, dank, smoke-filled nightclubs in Washington, D.C. I won a number of awards as Best Jazz Singer, Best Entertainer, Best Performer. I was having a ball. I was doing what I thought was going to be my rest of my life. I was enjoying it every Friday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. We'd have 2 shows a night. People would line up 7 o'clock for the 8 o'clock show, 9 o'clock for the 10 o'clock show. It was a packed out audience every show. We were doing great. I bought a little house. I had a little sports car. And, I'm doing good, making money, having fun. Well, one night I went in the nightclub. Club owner says, we made a change. I said, what do you mean? He said, we love your band, but we found something that's cheaper that's filling up nightclubs. We can get a better return on our investment and we can make more money, and it's not personal because we love you. And the people love you, but we figure that people will come to this new experience as well. We bought a karaoke machine. They're filling up nightclubs all over the country, and it's a lot cheaper than a band. And I was devastated. I said, but what about my bills? And I learned that nobody cares about your bills but you and the people you owe. And I went home and told my wife, my bride, who Greg mentioned already, who I've been married to now for 35 years. And we haven't had an argument in over 33 years. And people ask, you never had an argument? No, we haven't had an argument in 33 years. Those first couple of years were like World War III. But we learned some principles that we learned from some mentors that helped us right away. Let me give you another point to write down. There are 2 ways to get to any goal: mentors and mistakes. Both will get you there. One just gets you there with less headache, heartache, and knots upside your head. So if you want to find a way to get to a goal and find a way to achieve something more rapidly, you get a mentor. They know the places where the bumps are, the holes in the road. They know where things have happened and how to do it. Get a mentor. Well, we got mentors. My wife and I were newly married. We were arguing and things were not going good. We got mentors who had been married 30, 40, 50, 60 years, who taught us principles on how to not only stay married, but enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. And again, I go back to that word. I want to give you another little tip here: principles. Principles are critically important to your life. Methods are many. Principles are few. Methods may change, but principles never do. You throw a rock up 100 times, it'll come down 100 times. And it won't stay up, not one time, because of a principle called gravity. The principles that we learned about marriage have worked, and we embrace them, and the principles we've learned about life. And so we wrote a book, Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last, and now many married couples are calling and saying, our marriage has been fixed. Our marriage has been healed. We are doing much better because of these principles that you shared, that you learned. So my wife, I went home to my wife and said, I've got to do something else after being fired and replaced by the karaoke machine. Took a job with the school system as a drug prevention coordinator, talking to little kids about staying away from drugs and developing myself in the process. When I got fired, Greg, a friend of mine did something that changed my life. He gave me a motivational tape and a motivational book. I had never heard a motivational cassette tape, motivational speech, anything. It was a guy named Charlie Tremendous Jones, who you well know.
Yep.
And Charlie Tremendous Jones had a famous quote, a famous saying that said, in 5 years,
Yes.
Go ahead, you'll be the same person you are today.
Except for the people you meet and the books you read.
That's it. 5 years. And so I started reading books and meeting people. I met some of the people live, but some of the people I met through their books, some through their audio. And I started going to seminars. I started changing my inputs, which in turn changed my outputs. So the leadership was something that I had to develop. I had to grow it. I had to put it on. And so that led to me starting a speaking business, because I started working with the school system, started giving speeches. The school system, I worked there a year. I was having great results, great fun from little kids. The teachers would say, could you come to my teachers group? Someone in the teachers group would say, can you come to my church? Someone in the church would say, can you come to my company? Then Les Brown, the great motivational speaker, heard me speak and invited me to be on tour with him and Gladys Knight. And that allowed me to get introduced to corporate America as well as the media. I got a little radio show via the media introductions, and it got popular, got syndicated, and now you can hear me on Sirius XM, where I have the #1 self-help show in the country now. You can hear me on Radio 1 stations daily across America, where I have a daily popular 1-minute radio message, Wake Up and Win with Dr. Willie Jolley. You can see me on Instagram and IGTV with my daily 1-minute videos. You can hear me on Monday nights with our Happily Married Monday with the Jollies TV broadcast on Facebook Live, as well as Saturday morning on my Jolly Good News Facebook Live with the Jolly Good News Report. And all of that is happening because I decided to be proactive and work on myself. That leads to, after the books and the TV and the radio, in 1999, I got a call from Toastmasters International letting me know I was named one of the top 5 speakers in the world that year. Only 50 people have gotten that award: Colin Powell, Norman Schwarzkopf, Nelson Mandela, Margaret Thatcher, Christopher Reeve. And in 2005, I was inducted into Speaker Hall of Fame. And in 2013, I was named a legend of the speaking industry. And all happened, Greg, because it's people you meet who inspire you, and the books you read that empower you. They'll help you become the leader that you have the capacity to be. But it's because of the seeds that you develop. You weren't born that way. You developed that leadership. I know I did, and most people do that. So first of all, I wanted to share that leadership is not a position, it's an action. Seeing something that needs to be done and doing it, taking action. Not waiting for somebody to tell you to do it, not waiting for somebody to order you to do it. You know that I've got to do it because it is the right thing to do, the moral thing to do, the necessary thing to do. So leadership, I wrote a book, An Attitude of Excellence, Greg. And I talk about, in this book, we talk about setbacks and the comebacks, but also about leadership. And it was written after I finished working with a little company called Ford Motor Company. In 2006, they were on the brink of bankruptcy. They brought me in to work with them. I worked with them 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. They were able to reject the government bailout, go from losing millions to making billions. And then General Motors heard about their success, read about it in the newspaper, and called me and asked me to work with them. And then Marriott, Johnson & Johnson, Verizon, Comcast, one after another started calling saying, if you can help Ford, you can help us. So it's been an amazing thing, but it all started because I learned these principles about leadership and about teamwork. And what I want to share, and that's why I wrote the book, An Attitude of Excellence, how the best organizations get the best performance from the best people. So leadership is critical, and everybody has the potential to be a great leader, but you must be willing to go through that process like a piece of coal to become the diamond that is inside of you, just needs to be developed.
There's no doubt, and I've been listening to another book along those same lines called Atomic Habits, about developing the habits to become a successful leader, to be able to do the things you're talking about. And that's so powerful today.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. Absolutely. So then let's talk about teamwork. I mean, of course, you're the king of developing teams and helping teams to create success. In this Attitude of Excellence book, I interviewed people. The foreword was written by Stephen Covey. We had the opportunity to do an event together. For those who don't know, he wrote a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Just a little book,
just a little book
that at one point was the #3 best-selling book of all time, behind the Bible and the dictionary.
That's right. I think 50 million copies. We did an event together in Australia, New Zealand, and Australia. And he wrote a wonderful quote. I asked him to read the book, and if he could give me a quote. And he did. He said, talk about a brilliant, inspiring, motivating book. Reading it, laced with powerful, practical examples, affirms and empowers you to choose success, to choose excellence, to see change and constant improvement as an ally instead of a fearsome enemy, and to choose a complementary team style, which strengths are made productive and weaknesses made irrelevant because of the strength of other team members. Intertwining personal and organizational cultural development is so vitally and beautifully illustrated throughout. What an illuminating, uplifting read. And then I'm honored that he wrote the foreword, and then Alan Mullally from Ford wrote the intro. He wrote, Dr. Jolley has written a powerful new book that speaks to the impact of an attitude of excellence by every member of our teams. Our attitude of excellence creates a high-performance, smart, and healthy working together culture that pulls everyone together around a compelling vision, comprehensive strategies, and relentless positive implementation for the benefit of all the organization's stakeholders. Share this with every member of the team. And I wanted to talk about those two quotes, because they both focused on teams.
Yes.
And how this book was the result of my lessons from learning at Ford, and then working with GM and interviewing them, and working with Johnson & Johnson and Verizon and all these different companies, Walmart, and saying, what did I learn from each one of them? How did I become better? And then putting that into the book. And one of the key components that I learned was the power of teams, that it takes teamwork to make the dream work. You gotta get a team.
Anybody who knows me knows it's one of my quotes I'm constantly putting out there on social media all the time. Absolutely.
And so, you really do have to think team, act team. A team that works like a team, thinks like a team, is a team that will win like a team.
Yes.
And we see it so often in sports. We use those analogies of the sports teams that think team first tend to win more, rather than separate agenda.
Yeah.
And so look, and what we found is it happens in not just in work cultures, it happens in life, in families and marriages. My wife and I are a team. We work together, we think together, we act together, we're in this together. That's probably why we've been able to get past arguing, because we know that we're on the same team. We're on the same team. And so one of the things we talk about in the marriage book is a lesson from one of the guys who was on the Get Motivated tour with us. I had the honor of replacing Zig Ziglar on the Get Motivated tour, and it was me and Les Brown and Damon John and Tom Hopkins and so forth. But there was a guy who was a George Bush impersonator who would open the show, and he looked just like George Bush. But he would talk about, backstage, we were talking about writing the book. He said, let me tell you how my wife and I have been married for 40 years. We used to be on different sides of a net, and we'd be arguing about something, and we'd be adversaries. He said, one day we said, oh, this isn't working. So we made a shift. We got on the same side of the net, and our adversary was the problem, whatever it may be. And we went against the problem together. And I said, that's just a great analogy that people can visualize in their head. Yeah. And so Dee and I are like that. We attack the problem rather than each other.
Right.
And
that was my wife. Glenda and I did the same thing.
That's right. That's right. So we want to encourage couples. We want to encourage people. We want to encourage whoever that don't just think of team just as your workplace, but also your home, your family. My family got to be a team. My son got to be part of the team. We got to be all in. We got to be all in this together because we got some goals. So
and by the way,
king
one
of
of the
teams,
key things, key things you brought up earlier was principles are few and they never change.
That's right.
And everybody on the team, when they've got the same principles, brings them stronger and closer together to go for that direction.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. So,
I go back to the old TV show of the 1970s, Dallas. Okay, and how Bobby and J.R. Ewing used to fight each other all the time, yet let an outside force come in and they pull together.
Right, that's right.
And that's what great teams do, whether it's family or business or sports.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I always say that you show me a group of a team of average players, and they will beat a group of superstars every day.
That's right. That's exactly right. Who play together? That's exactly right. A great example. I'll give you the best example. You hit it, and I just thought of it. In the book, I talk about one of the greatest teams that I've ever experienced were the Chicago Bulls during the time of Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, during that time. Now, let's look at this scenario here. Michael Jordan's University of North Carolina, highest score, comes out of college, becomes the first-round draft choice, goes to Chicago, but he's a one-man band. He's a one-man show, okay? And for 7 seasons, they could not win a championship. But then they brought in this new coach, Phil Jackson, who had a team philosophy and a team-mindedness. He said, we got to change this. We got to think team. We got to think team. And if you think team, Michael, he had to sell Michael on it first. If you win like a team, Michael, you will personally benefit. But, yeah, personally benefit. Okay. He said, I got this guy, Scottie Pippen. Sometime I want you to get the ball to Scottie. And they think you don't, but get it to Scottie. Just get it to Scottie. I got a guy who's three-point expert. Sometimes you fake it to Scottie, get it to the three-point guy. I got one other guy. He's a little weird. He's weird. But his name is Dennis Rodman. But he can rebound and play defense. And if Dennis does his job, and the three-point guy does his job, and Scottie does his job, and Michael, you do your job, and I, the coach, do my job, and the water boy even does his job, we'll win. And though did they win, they won 1 championship, 2 championships, 3 championships. Michael went out to play baseball, came back, they won a 4th, 5th, and 6th championship because they learned to think like a team. And a couple of things that were critical about that was not just the playing together like a team, but how they handled behind the scenes. I interviewed David Falk, who was Michael Jordan's agent and manager and partner with all of his Nike activities. David Falk, I had him on my XM show. And he said, let me tell you what was one of the keys to their success. Dennis Rodman could be a disruptive force at any place and could mess the team up. He said, but if you notice at the Chicago Bulls, that was one of the times when he was all in. How did that happen? Well, he was still somewhat disruptive. But Michael, rather than talking about it in the press, talking about it to the public, he would talk about it in the back.
Dennis and the team.
And the tenant, he said, he'd go to Dennis and say, look, I want to win. And I know you want to win. We got to think team. So now, if you want to dress up like a bride and do that on your time. But when you put on that uniform, you're a Chicago Bull. We're playing team. And that was one of the reasons. So the lesson is this, that great teams understand that if you're going to win, you cannot fray the fabric of the organization by talking about each other behind each other's back. You must do it. You must have, if you have a difficult conversation that needs to be had, and that happens in everybody's life. Many times in friendships and familyships and in marriages and businesses, you got to have some time where you have to have a conversation that's uncomfortable. It's difficult. And it's during those difficult conversations, I tell people to use the 4 F's formula. 4 F's formula. The 4 F's is from my attitude book as well as is in my marriage book. 4 F's. First, be friendly. Be friendly. Start off every difficult conversation friendly. Because if you're hostile, people put up defense mechanisms. And after being friendly, be frank. Tell the truth. This is how you made me feel, or this is how your actions are impacting me and the organization. Be frank. Not you are so and you are that. No. Here's how it makes me feel. To tell your feeling. You can't tell somebody what their motivation is because you really don't know. But you can tell how it makes you feel. Be friendly, be frank, be fair. Be fair. Say, now look, let me ask you why. Give me your perspective. Give me your reason. Listen to their perspective. Be willing to listen. Active listening, as I like to call it. So be friendly, be frank, be fair, then focused. Number 4 is be focused on a positive win-win relationship. How do we both get out of this and win? I want you to win. I want to win. So if you get those friendly, frank, fair, focused on a positive win-win, you start to have greater acceptance of those difficult conversations, and you tend to start to win more. And that's what happened with Dennis Rodman and Michael Jordan, and that's why they won those 6 championships. Let me give you one more quote from my XM show. I love this one. This one is from General Colin Powell. When I interviewed General Colin Powell on my Sirius XM show, he made a poignant point about the power of working together as a team. He said, success comes from a mindset of one team, one fight. Organizations that resemble warring tribes usually fail. Teams that fight as one cohesive unit tend to win. I recommend you decide to work like a team, and you will win more in both professional and personal terms. Wow. Teams, leadership, teams, teamwork. And then you mentioned culture. Culture. How do you create a winning culture, a successful culture? Well, again, how you create a successful marriage. You and I both know that you were married a number of years. I've been married a number of years. It's about communication. Yeah, it really is about communication and being willing to listen, being willing to know that I don't have to be right all the time. Okay, I don't have to be right. I can listen to my wife and say, "You're right. You're right." A friend of mine, my doctor, we were riding bikes, and he said, marriage is an ongoing culmination. Oh, I got to get the book. It was so good, I had to put it in my phone because it was so right on. And I said, wow, that's a great quote. So here it is. He said, marriage is a never-ending series of compromises. Constantly. Yeah. And great organizations do the same.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We've got to compromise. That's the way we get to win-win, when we have that same common dream, that same common focus. That's the strength. When you talk about culture, one of the things I look at is this team up in New York. I think they're called the New York Yankees. If you notice, the New York Yankees are the only team in baseball, and I think in all of professional sports, that do not put the names of the names of the players on the backs of their jerseys, both home and away, because they're more important about being a New York Yankee. They also require their players, and if I'm not mistaken, most of the people, if not all the people in the organization, to have the men have military-grade haircuts, no visible tattoos, no facial hair. They're very focused about that as part of who they are and when they present themselves. Right. If you go back and watch the movie Coach Carter, it was a lot the same way. He brought that mindset of how they present themselves. And they are a team on and off the court, on and off the field, on and off of life. I think that's absolutely powerful.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So anyway, we're just grateful, man. We're just grateful. A part of this is a big old attitude of gratitude. It's just, yeah. I got a gratitude attitude, and I think it impacts every part of my life beyond just my personal life, and my business, my marriage, my life with my kids and grandchildren, and grateful, even when there are difficulties, when there are challenges, being grateful. Gratitude gives you power, and it gives you another perspective. So we want people to win in their lives, their personal lives, their professional lives, their financial lives, their relationships, and their health. We want people to win each and every which way they can. And that is why I'm grateful that you are set out to do this podcast, that you are now helping people to win as teams through leadership, through teamwork, through culture. And I'm just grateful that I'm able to spend some time with you and share it and talk about it and be of whatever help. I want to encourage people to go to winwithwillie.com. Winwithwillie.com. There's a song I recorded there called We'll Get Through This. It'll bless you. My friend Les Brown says he listens to it daily as he fights cancer. He said, I listen to it every morning and every night. It encourages me. So many others, Kiyosaki and so many others have started promoting it and saying how it has helped them and their listeners and their viewers and their networks. So go to winwithwillie.com. And I encourage you to Sign up for the newsletter. Every day I send out a 1-minute positive message that encourages people. And I'm amazed, Greg, I'm amazed at the responses we get from people all over the world who say, I needed that today. Thank you.
I need my dose every day.
Amen.
And it's literally, folks, if you've not listened to it, it's 60, 70 seconds, and it's powerful. And listen to it first thing in the morning, because your batteries will get revved up.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
There's no doubt. So if we wanted to close this out, right now we're all dealing with setbacks, whether it's in business, regardless of what it is. What's the one thing that is the critical thing that everybody, regardless of their position, whether it's in a supervisory role in business, whether they're in a volunteer position, whether it's in a family life, and we're experiencing these challenges, what's the one thing right now that we have to start with?
Actually, the word comes back to where we talked about a little. It comes back to gratitude.
Yeah.
I really think that's the singular most important thing you can do during these tough times. Find some way to be grateful, because gratitude gives you an openness, a hopefulness, an expectation, versus being down, being upset because you got to wear a mask, or you got to be socially distant. But when you're grateful, I'm grateful, I'm still here. I'm grateful, I still got another shot. No matter what the problem is, if I get another shot, I got another shot this morning when I woke up. I woke up this morning. Every morning I wake up, my eyes open. I say, thank you. Ooh, Lord, thank you. I got another one. I got another one. I got another one. Okay, I got some situations, some challenges, some things I got to deal with. But as long as I get another shot, maybe I can turn this around. And that's what I want to say in the setback and to comeback, is that you must have a vision for your future. What I call the VDAD formula, a vision where you say, I got some things I want to do, some bigger things. You got a vision for where you're going. Well, people with a vision tend to live longer and live better. Then I got to make some tough decisions. The tough decision is I got to stay away from the negatives and decide to go toward the positive. That's a decision. And so I got to make, as you said, start every day with something positive, my 1-minute messages. I listen myself to my message on the radio. I at 8:20 on the radio, it's on the Praise Network around America. I tune in every morning, 8:20. Then I watch my video. Because sometimes I just need to hear from myself. Faith coming from hearing. Now I happen to be that I hear it. I said, wow, that was good. Ooh, that turned me on. Even though I recorded it a couple of weeks ago, it reminds me. So vision, decision. Then you must take some action. A vision without an action is an illusion. An action without a vision is mere for confusion. But a vision and action put together can give your life a transfusion. And finally, vision, decision, action, desire. I want it. I want to be better. I want to do better. I want to achieve better. That's why I got the desire to have to get up and go work out. I have the desire. I've got to go and make sure I eat healthy. I got to get my rest. I got a desire. I want to do more. I got a desire, because life is going to test you. Life is going to try you. But Goethe said, until one is committed, there's hesitance, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. But the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence, the hand of God, moves also. All manner of things happen that would not regularly have occurred. Boldness has genius and magic in it. Begin it now. Take action. And so I want to ask you to have a vision, decision, action, desire, and have gratitude. You'll be a better leader. Mm-hmm. You'll have a better team, and you have a better culture. And make sure, whatever you do, subscribe to this podcast with Greg Gregory. Make it part of your routine. But more importantly, I want you to do one more thing. Tell at least 5 people you know about it. Say, hey, you should be listening to this podcast with this guy, Greg Gregory. It will inspire you. That's my recommendation. And I encourage you and recommend you and implore you to do it, because it'll make you better. Because when you help others by giving them things that helped you, you've done leadership right there.
Oh, exactly. We can't help someone else without brightening our own path and helping ourselves along the way.
That's right.
So, Willie, as usual, I mean, we've known each other for many years. You've been there at some of my lowest points of my life, and you've lifted me up. And we often tease that we are brothers of different mothers.
That's right.
And your wife has just been a blessing to me. Your son, your entire family has been there. You've invited me into your home on the holiday after my wife passed away.
Yep.
And I can't tell you how much that means. Folks, listen to this one again. Listen to it when you can stop and start. I've been taking notes, but listen to this again. Listen to what Willie says. Because if you do, you can win with Willie. Just throw a .com on there and you'll find him on the web. You know, folks, my attitude is very simple. Teamwork makes the dream work. And I always tell folks, do not have a good day. Because when you have a good day, you're only having an average day. So make today an awesome day because you are not average. Thanks again to Dr. Willie Jolley for joining us on the Teamwork Advantage. Join us again next week, and you'll hear some more inspiring stories and tips on teamwork, leadership, and culture. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Teamwork Advantage with Greg Gregory. Be sure to like, subscribe, and activate the bell icon to be notified of future episodes. To learn more about how Greg can help your organization develop a powerful winning culture, visit TeamsRock.com. That's TeamsRock.com.